if you talk to Navy SEALs, they're not talking about manifestation. They're talking about obsession, and they're talking about determination, and they're talking about extreme ownership, but they're not talking about manifestation.
I've met people that are, bullshitters, of course, like we just talked about, but then there's people that, kind of just speak to your soul and you're like, oh yeah, you get me and I get you. And like, I feel like I vibe with you on a spiritual level, so much so that I can create art with you. And then that leads it to a place that can be very successful because it's coming from a place of, from the vortex, as I don't know if you're into this. You might be like, this girl's like crazy, but but from like the universe, from the place that is like the most egoless and just authentic and creative place. And it's like what we all have access to tap into, right? And so when you kind of create from that standpoint with people that share that same energy, it can only produce great results.
You read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle?
Yes.
Okay.
I love that
and
book.
A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle?
Yeah, I love Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah.
But also just like the Divine Matrix or, like books that talk about, and I know we said we kind of get into this, the quantum physics thing, just talking about like how you create your reality as opposed to you are a victim of your reality.
Sure.
Yeah. And I feel like, when you are kind of under that understanding with a certain group of people, it's like you found your tribe and you kind of like work together with that same notion in mind and you just create from that place of abundance,
Yeah.
And yeah, you can create magic when that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I no matter what kind of metaphor you use, because I legitimately don't believe you manifest anything. I think you have to, I think you have to work for it, right? I think the laws of physics don't allow.
They can combine, but you still got to put in the work. It's not like you just like, okay, it's gonna,
I think Mike Tyson trained a long time with Cus D'Amato and started hitting that bag really hard, and then when he got into the ring, I think he visualized beating people's ass.
But that's part of manifestation.
But I don't think like any sort of woo-woo energy came down and made him do that. I think that was the laws of physics because the problem is this: Razor Ruddock also wanted to be great.
Yeah.
Okay. Riddick Bowe also wanted to be great. Buster Douglas also wanted to be great, but Mike Tyson was greater than them.
Right.
And it wasn't because they wanted it more. Mike wanted it more. It was Mike was a genetic, like he won the genetic lottery. This dude, all he threw was nuclear bombs. He didn't know how to jab. All he knew how was the KO. And so, like I when you talk about Michael Jordan or stuff like that, was manifestation. Like I do believe the greatest example for me. I don't know if you know who Michael Irvin is. He's a wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys when they won 3 Super Bowls. He would say. When the quarterback would throw me the ball, it was a function of he knew where I was going to be. And I had visualized in the shower that morning, I knew where I was going to be. Okay.
The key.
But I think manifestation is a metaphor. I legitimately think he's psychologically training himself to know where to be. And there's nothing that defensive back will ever do to stop me from getting to that spot.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to be there. And Troy, the quarterback, he doesn't even have to see me. He just knows to put the ball there and I'm going to be there. And hell or high water, nothing on this planet and no defensive back on this planet is going to stop me from getting to my spot and getting to that football. And so that's the way I look at it from that standpoint, because if you talk to Navy SEAls, they're not talking about manifestation. They're talking about obsession, and they're talking about determination, and they're talking about extreme ownership. But they're not talking about manifestation. Although I feel like it's a metaphor saying the same thing.
Right. So essentially, you're saying the same thing as maybe what I'm saying, but in just different words, right? Because for me, manifestation involves visualization, as well as like it may be affirmations, maybe the way how you said he knew.
Yeah.
I just know things.
For sure.
I know shit's gonna work.
There's psychology and science behind that.
But that's why I love studying from a place of, like, I know we're going to talk about this, quantum physics, because it talks about how the energy, literally, it's energy, right? And you're creating from a place of energy. So, and everything is energy. So when you create, I know you're going to come for me right now because you have a degree, right?
I have a minor in astronomy, but yeah, if you have any questions about it, the thing is, quantum mechanics is literally the wave particle duality of subatomic particles.
Yeah.
And they're in superposition until you observe them, and then they collapse.
And then they collapse in a wave function.
Right.
Yes.
But the wave function collapses into a particle, like at one visible spot.
Right.
But the thing is, people mistake that for believing like my vision creates the energy. You can actually you can have the observer literally be like a machine that has no soul, and it still works. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's not a function of like the problem is people start. Quantum mechanics is so mysterious and so incredible, but it's also completely provable. There's more proof for quantum mechanics than there actually is for relativity. And so because we know these things to be true, the reason why, just not to go too far down the rabbit hole, but you can actually freeze, you can take subatomic particles and put them down near negative 273 degrees Celsius or 0 Kelvin, and you can actually see the superposition. It's really weird. You get them to almost a zero energy state and you can see it. But these are all scientific terms.
Yeah,
like we don't like the reason, like this is an illusion of solid matter. matter. What
Right.
happens is all my particles are in phase with each other. And so
Right.
what's happened is there is no wave particle duality. It's just physical matter. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah, I'm
And so we
understanding.
we don't see it from that standpoint. But like the idea that like when we talk about string theory, M theory, or multiple universes or stuff like that, these are this is theory.
Right.
We don't have evidence for.
That's correct,
You see
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like the idea that I'm going to manifest stuff. The problem is like whenever I hear that, I just think about like the people in Rwanda. A million people died in 100 days, and they didn't manifest that. Or the Polish kids in Poland in 1939 who were thrown into
Yeah.
concentration camps.
Yeah.
They didn't manifest that. I don't believe they didn't pray hard enough or they didn't meditate.
Right.
So that's why I don't believe in manifestation. I believe that you see a hole and you make a hole. You create it. And you said the right
Yeah.
thing about a victim mentality.
Yeah.
If you just choose to not have a victim mentality, then you're going to be able to create these things that happen to you. But so many unfair things happen to people, and that's why I don't
Right.
necessarily believe in manifestation.
Yeah, I get where you're coming. This has been a conversation like time and time again with like, you know, these teachers where
Sure.
it's like, well, did they manifest whatever? But I mean, when I'm just strictly looking at myself right
Yeah.
now, you know, so I'm
Yeah.
just thinking like, you know, if I put the energy, because I've noticed that when I create from a place of like, you know, abundance or energy or positive, like, you know, it's a
Yeah.
difference than when you're creating from a place of sadness or
100%,
lack
yeah.
or whatever. So there's something to be said about that, you know, and when I like go within, I find that I get more results. So instead of like searching for the answers outside of me. So that's why I like love meditation, and I love, you know, and I do like quantum leap meditations. And I know this is like a whole conversation that some people might be like, whoa, but if you get it, you get it. If you don't, whatever.
But
you know?
the other thing is, if it works for you, that's also fine.
Right,
Like
it's
I'm not.
your
I'm
method,
not going
yeah.
to by any means say that because I'm a part of religion A, somebody who's part of religion B can't have any success.
Right.
Could
Because
you
we all
imagine-
have a different way, like Buddha,
Right.
Jesus,
Yeah, but-
whatever you study, whatever your thing is.
Just
yeah.
imagine if there were like 4 major religions on the planet, and one of them, if you believe this religion, you could fly, and we saw the people in that religion start flying. We'd all convert to that religion, right? That's the way it works. The thing is with religious beliefs or anything like this, if it's helping you perform, then that's totally fine, right?
Right, right.
But like for me, like I happen to be a Christian. My belief in the resurrection is because of faith, not because of evidence, right? I was not doubting Thomas. I did not see the spikes go through Jesus' hands. So I'm only choose to do it through evidence. And that's the other thing, like with quantum mechanics is there's evidence behind that. Relativity, there's
Right.
evidence behind it.
Right.
But when people talk about astrology and numerology, there's no evidence behind
Evidence,
it.
yeah.
None whatsoever.
Yeah.
And so that's where the difference comes. And then you take it one step further, and now you're like, okay, now I believe in this. Now let me help you understand that the earth is also flat and that birds aren't real and that reptile people live under Antarctica.
The
and now,
conspiracy
right, but
theorists.
now we go, but it keeps going. But the problem is if you believe in astrology, the likelihood of you believing in a conspiracy theory, there's studies on this. It's just higher and higher and higher.
Yeah, sure.
And then you get to a point where you have, you know, I love Grant Cardone, but you have Grant Cardone and Tom Cruise that turn into Scientologists, and like, and they believe the entire psychiatric field is all hokum, and you just go down this path. You see what I'm saying?
I do see. I know that's why you got to be careful, kind of like who you have this discussion with,
Yeah.
because some people just can go down a rabbit hole. I mean, I just love to come for myself. I love to come from a place of positivity and light and love, and I just want it to feel like be a good feeling, because
Sure.
when I'm creating from that space, it just creates like greatness for me. So I mean, I don't really this is something I kind of like have with myself. It's like my relationship with myself, you
Sure.
know. So I don't really go into like groups and have these discussions, so
Yeah.
to speak, you know. And I'm very careful to even speaking on here. I'm like, oh my God, someone's gonna say something, you know, because
Yeah.
there's always somebody. But at the end of the day,
Hey,
it's
listen,
like if it works for you, it works
want
for
them
you.
to. You
Right.
want them to. Like,
Right.
yeah, like what's the girl's name? Jessica Simpson, when she was talking about it's the chicken of the sea, but I didn't think it was chicken. You remember that a long time ago?
Yeah.
She got more famous because of that.
Right, period.
Like Jordan Belfort got more famous for going to jail for 15 months for securities fraud. So like I wouldn't worry about it. Anything you say, you're gonna
Yeah, it
be
doesn't
fine.
matter. Whatever. I mean, if it works for me, it works for
Yeah.
me. I'm not spreading any hate. So, you know, I'm in a good place.
And the reason why I honestly, it's just my hypothesis, why you're successful is because you don't choose a victim mentality no matter what. Conspiracy theories are based on victimhood. Always. The world, the Illuminati is out to get me. George Soros is eating babies and he's out to get me. You understand what I'm
my
saying?
God, yeah.
That's how they're always based on that. People with positive attitudes, doesn't matter what they believe. The fact of the matter is, and it doesn't matter if you ever know, because quantum mechanics have nothing to do with you being able to sing. Your ability as a
Yeah.
performer, that's all that matters, right? Your
Right.
ability to perform.